Of uncertainty ahead of the election. Here to tell us what we might expect between now and May is Emily Ashton, political correspondent at BuzzFeed, and Harry Cole, who is the contributing editor of The Spectator magazine. Let's start with the known knowns, if you want to put it that way. The certainties. Emily, are there any?
Well, I mean, this is the election where nobody really knows what's going to happen. But at BuzzFeed today, we had 25 things that will certainly happen during the general election. And, there will be a politician that makes a gaffe on a microphone and you're going to hear it. Or they're going to go into a local radio station and not remember the name of the local candidate. These things will happen. When it comes to the actual result, this is the first election in many, many years that nobody really has a clue who's going to win.
Yeah, someone might call someone a bigoted woman on mic as well, who knows, or punch a member of the electorate. Remember that happening. Well, let's start then, Harry, by looking at the biggest party, although not the majority party, in David Cameron's Conservatives. How does the land lie for them at the moment?
Well, one thing is very clear, regardless of all the sort of mystery around it, is that the Prime Minister will either be Labour or Conservative. We haven't quite got to the level of the European minor parties where you get a sort of sideball surprise of a minority leader becoming the Prime Minister. So I think that's one of the Tories' biggest strengths in this election. Is they're going to play on that. They're going to make it a presidential choice between them, David Cameron and Ed Miliband. And if they can stick to that message, then they're going to be pretty happy. The lay of the land for the Tories is all they want to talk about is the economy. That's if they can stick on that message, if they can stay on that day after day, they think they're going to win. Privately, they can see they probably won't get a majority. They will never say that publicly. They're playing to win it, but in reality, the numbers are there. So Cameron is playing to continue to be the Prime Minister, and I can see a situation where a Lib Dem coalition with the Tories is far more likely in many ways because the public are used to it. They could come back together and say, let's give us another go at this. We didn't screw it up too badly last time, so why let the other guys in? And so there's I think the money, the numbers, the polling numbers aren't quite there yet, but the money and the smart money, I think, and the consensus among the commentariat is that Cameron has got a pretty good shot at remaining the Prime Minister somehow.
Because, Emily, the Tories really want it to be a presidential style race, don't they? Because they think that'll play into their hands and not into the hands of Ed Miliband and the Labour Party. Why?
They're banking on it being a presidential contest. They're hoping in the final few weeks before the election that when it comes to a choice between who do you want in number 10, David Cameron or Ed Miliband, people will go for David Cameron because they've seen him be the statesman, they've seen him stride across the White House lawn, stand on the number 10 steps, and they can't quite imagine, lots of people out there, can't quite imagine Ed Miliband doing the same. And the problem for him, obviously, he's had these gaffes, hasn't he, and he's been pictured with a bacon sandwich and perhaps looked a bit awkward and doesn't come across as the man that you would perhaps want as your Prime Minister.
Let's look at the aces he could play, and they're going big on the NHS already.
Yes, the NHS is Labour's, well, what Labour see as their strength, where they see the Tories falling short. So yeah, Labour will hammer the NHS.
I don't think it's necessarily a strength. I think it's a comfort zone. If Labour, they spent the last 4 years, Ed Miliband, talking about how he's going to reinvent the British economy and rebalance, reconfigure things, and they've just slowly stopped talking about that and just slipped back into their comfort zone, which is protecting the public sector. But the public sector vote isn't big enough to swing it.
Let's talk Lib Dems, because of course they have been in government. I mean, Harry says people might not mind that too much and might put them in government again. Do they hold the balance of power?
Well, it really depends how many seats they get. And they're desperately trying to hold on to a fair few. They might get 30-ish if they're lucky, so they could well be in another coalition.
30 is a very good result for them. The current polls are pointing to maybe 19 to 20. But if you look at the Eastleigh by-election, that was a seat that the Lib Dems should have lost on paper, but they're so bedded in, they've got their machine there that they might just hold enough seats. Nick Clegg weirdly is in quite a powerful position.
Oh, okay.
Ed Miliband is guaranteed he's out the door if he isn't the largest party that's in power. David Cameron, again, if he's not the largest party, he's out the door. But Nick Clegg could weirdly worm his way into surviving another few years.
So many permutations. We haven't even got time to mention UKIP, SNP, Plaid Cymru, the Greens. They could all have a role to play in the next government. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.